story that would fit with this theme. We gave them a creative brief. They came back to us with some story concepts, and then we worked with them to help them produce the films. The films then traveled to film festivals internationally. We premiered them at major film festivals on the same day that they showed on a screen to an audience. They also went live online. And over the course of the last 18 months, we've rolled out all 30 films in the series. They've gotten huge, there's been a huge response online. Really, people are responding to these films in a way that's kind of amazing to us. They've been shared over 30 million times. We've had over 1 billion media impressions on the entire program across our social media channels, which really is something that we are not responsible for. These are stories that are traveling organically and connecting with people and connecting with audiences because they touch on themes that are important to people watching them. For instance, the invisible bicycle helmet, which you saw, really took off in the urban biking community, and they really picked it up and spread it all over the internet. And so it really found a global audience because there was a community already ready-made for that kind of content. And then we ran a filmmaker competition last year in which we invited filmmakers anywhere in the world of any skill level to make their own 3-minute film according to the same creative brief. And we got about 600 submissions from 69 countries. And we awarded $200,000 in prize money at the Sundance Film Festival this year to 5 of the top entries. And the last film that you saw, Cyborg Foundation, was the winner of the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance in our filmmaker competition. So that's a little background on the program and the series and what we're all about. What's that? Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize it was chair.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Sharon Vidal. I'm the director of short film programming and initiative for the Tribeca Film Festival. And so my mission is twofold. One is I program or documentary shorts program for the festival. And two, with regard to Focus Forward and Sinalon, who have a very strong partnership with Tribeca, we decided to do something kind of cool this year, which is out of a certain number of those films, I programmed 3 modules. This is one module that you saw called Outside the Box, because it's all about thinking inventively. And there are 2 other modules, each that have 4 pieces in them, that are available on our tribecafilm.com website. So we kind of wanted to bring both of these worlds together and talk about the power of the individual to make change, right? That we have the power to do that, but also to kind of meld the community of traditional documentary filmmaking, filmmaking competitions, web filmmaking, and really look at this from one big perspective. So, Michelle, why don't you talk a little bit first about your project?
So the project I did with Cineland and Focus Forward is called Solar Roadways. We premiered in Tribeca last year. And you can see some of it in the exhibit next door, by the way. For me, it was very interesting because I do come from very traditional feature documentary filmmaking, 90 minutes, 3 years to make, festivals, broadcasts, and all that, and fighting for audience. And then I was asked to do a 3-minute film, and I was like, I don't know how to do 3 minutes, and it was a nightmare to cut for me because I'm like, I need the time to do stuff. So it was a great challenge, and I loved it. And then 2 things happened. A, I learned a great deal about solar roadways and how we can really change the world in a very simple solution and a very accessible, very applicable solution to how to get energy from the sun and use that to feed electricity to the whole neighborhood and therefore obviously saving a lot of energy. But on the other hand, these guys, what they did with the movie, all of our movies, our 30 movies, is really reach an amount of audience that I, in my traditional way of filmmaking, would have never reached. And that was a great lesson to how, and these guys are also ahead of the game, and they showed us how we can, by the idea of connectivity, which is what you're talking about, but in today's world, I do believe that we can no longer make films and throw it on the screen and hope it sticks. It doesn't work. Through now social media and all that it means today, we really are able to reach a great amount of audience. And it's great for me because I am able to, of course, if you have a good product, really reach a fan base or a certain amount of subscribers, if you will, that will follow you from film to film to film. Whereas in the past, I kind of had to start every time from scratch. So the idea of connectivity, and one last thing again, obviously I don't want to be the only one talking, but with solar roadways, I was telling Damon before, I was sitting with my friend who's an urban planner in downtown LA, and I mentioned to him, he said to me, I'm now advising on this, we have to destroy this bridge in downtown, and we have to rebuild another one, that's a $400 million project, and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, okay, so I'm assuming you're going to put solar panels on the road, on the bridge. And he said, well, I don't know what that is. So I pull up my iPad, focusforward.com, boom, 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 I show him the film, 3 minutes, done. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. I'm going back to the mayor and I'm going to see if I can implement this. Because it doesn't cost more because they're building it from scratch. So I felt like I've done my job. I connected between, my little film, my engineers in Idaho, and this urban planner who is now going to take it to the mayor. So I'm done. Now it's about them connecting for the rest. So that's the power of, to answer your question, that is the power of innovation, new ideas through social media.
And by the way, I guess we should, so all 30 of these films are available to watch online. And I just, from the festival's perspective, we kind of put them in 3 little groups to kind of give you a different sense of the ride rather than watching them individually, but you can watch them all individually. So now let's go to the other side, which is, this is David Darg and Bryn Muser, who are now at their 3rd appearance at Tribeca with documentary films. And they are probably, in my experience, one of the most pure examples of making change through filmmaking. You're using your power as a filmmaker to help humanitarian in a humanitarian way. So would you tell the audience about your project?
Sure. So Bryn and I are both full-time relief workers. Have been living in different parts of the world for over a decade each, and have been involved in a lot of disaster response and crisis response. We go to conflicts and natural disasters as relief workers and as filmmakers. And for the last decade each, we've been creating very short films very quickly after major disasters and in crisis zones to get the message out of what's happening, to get it in front of donors outside of those zones who have the power to affect change through donations and that type of thing. So we've been fortunate to hone this skill of telling a story very quickly, and seeing this collection of films is very inspirational for us because they are just so powerful. And I love very short films, and to think that these are 3 minutes long each is incredible because you really get so caught up that they seem like they're much longer. I love short films that are like that. But it is an art form to tell a very short, to tell a very important story in such a short time. And we were at a screening recently at the University of Indiana Film School, and they still teach the students there. They have a class where they're still teaching them on 16 millimeter, and only allow them like enough film for like 2 minutes. So there's a class where it's like, okay, you have to tell a story in 2 minutes. And I was like, well, man, why are you still teaching film? It's such a dated format. Come on, get with digital. And they go, no, actually, the whole point of this course is because they're restricted. It's kind of like Twitter. You have 140 characters where you have to make a tweet. You have 2 minutes where you have to tell your story in. And it's actually an incredible craft to learn to tell a story quickly. And so Bryn and I have a film this year about a surfer who lost his home when Hurricane Sandy swept through New York. And a lot of people, the biggest question we get is how are you able to turn this around so quickly and have a film about the storm in Tribeca? And our answer is really down to learning how to tell a story very concisely, very quickly in that turnaround time. So we're fascinated by this collection.
And I'll just add to that, one of the things that we're working on right now, we have a website called riot.org, ryot.org, and that website David and I built from what we were able to do with our stories and the action. So it's a news website. you can get all the news like you would on CNN or Huffington Post, but every news story we give you an action, so you can donate or volunteer or register to vote or sign a petition, whatever the appropriate action. And that was really because we saw that if the documentaries that we made, especially the ones in Haiti, which were very difficult to watch sometimes, if we didn't have a really clear action at the end of it, then people would just get really depressed and get angry at us for making them sit through our movies. But we made sure that with every film we have a really big plan and action and ways that people can get involved so that that story can continue and they can feel like they can become a part of that. So that's what we're trying to do with news too. That's really what's going on.
It's amazing. So you guys are like next level doc filmmakers. You're totally embedded and you're totally connected to these communities that you're shooting in. Did you start as relief workers and become filmmakers, or was it the other way around?
Yeah, we both. Well, I started in the Peace Corps, yeah, and then we both started in the relief and the aid world. But you know, that world has changed so much with social media and with, especially with digital. Everything changed basically with like the digital SLR and being able to shoot really beautiful movies on a Canon camera. And so for us, if you're an aid worker now, you have to also be a storyteller and be able to make these little films because that's part of it. If somebody gives you a water purifier to put in a school, or a well, you have to send them a little video. And all of that changes with digital. I mean, now with the